What is up, Jets family? Welcome to the Talking Jets with Tigo show, and we have a very special guest. We have a very, very new show that we're going to be doing weekly, and we're going to hop right into it. We're not going to waste any time. Let's have some fun tonight. What is going on, fellow Jets fans? Welcome back to the Talking Jets with Tigo channel. My name is Tigo, and today we're going to be going over all of the combine stuff, and we're going to be talking about risers, fallers, and what changes and things might have occurred because of the combine. Because whether we like it or not, the combine drills are going to change your perspective on certain players, but we're not going to do this alone. We have a very special guest with our new weekly show that we're going to be doing, and that is, of course, Connor Long. Welcome, Connor, to the Talking Jets with Tigo channel. I think this is the first time you're here, right?
I'm on the show, and I'm super happy we were able to make this a weekly thing. We've collaborated several times, primarily on my channel, so super happy to be here on the show. Excited to talk Jets, excited to talk things, all things NFL Combine, although I don't put too much stock into it when it comes to really changing my opinion on a prospect for better or worse.
See, I think that let's not even waste any time. Let's just jump right into it. Because I do think that there is some benefit to the combine, and there are some things that definitely go and show you certain positives in the draft. And for example, some people fall because they don't work out. I mean work out, I mean literally do the workouts. And I think a really good example of that might be one of your favorites, one of my favorites, Tet McMillan, the wide receiver out of Arizona, who did not run the 40-yard dash at the combine. Now, my question to you, does that matter to you, him not running the 40?
No.
And sorry, before you go, he's also not running the 40 at his pro day.
That's the rumor. So nothing's been confirmed on if he's running a 40 at his pro day. Personally, I would like to see him run a 40 at his pro day or the combine. But personally, it doesn't really sway my opinion that much because I feel like we can, you obviously want to see officially how fast they can run at the combine. But watching someone on tape like Tet, you'd assume he'd run in that 4.6 or so range. So I already have a feeling where he's going to run. But again, speed is not what Tet McMillan beat you with. He beat you with his large frame at 6'5", 212 pounds. That's what he's going to beat you with. So I can understand why he didn't want to run, and I think good for him. He's telling NFL teams, look, if you really want me, look at the tape. That's who I am overall as a player. For me, Tigo, it doesn't sway my opinion one way or another if I want to draft Tet at 7 or not, because speed isn't the game changer as for the reason why I really, really want to draft him.
I am in total agreement here. My biggest thing with Tet was exactly that. This is his attempt to control the narrative, right? Because he's not going to have control of the narrative. He's not going to be able to be like, look, yes, I'm not the fastest runner, but that's not my game. I'm not a speed guy. That's not what I'm bringing to the table. There's no one else that moves the way that I do, that has the body control that I do, that has the contested catch ability that I do in this draft class. And I think he's pointing people towards the tape. And the reality is that this is going to be but a blip in his conversation. We're going to talk about this for the next week, and then it's going to go away. Whereas if he did run and he ran badly, that could legitimately affect where he goes in the draft. And that is why I think he didn't run. Because we've seen this happen before. Drake London didn't run at the combine because he was hurt, and then chose not to run a 40 at his pro day because he knew it was affect his draft stock, and he still went the number one wide receiver in that year's draft. Not just that, in preceding drafts, Jackson Smith and Jigba, His evaluation almost literally presided on whether or not he ran the 40 and how fast he ran it. And Seattle was able to get him so late in the draft because he ran his 40. I think that if he didn't run his 40 and he essentially just told evaluators, watch the tape, that's who I am, he would have gone higher. But because he ran a bad 40, he fell into the back half of the first round. Same thing happened with Davante Adams. Davante Adams was a stud in college, ran a bad 40, went in the second round. The athleticism and the things that people like to get from the combine, they truly matter. But sometimes there's these little things like a 40-yard dash for a wide receiver, like a 40-yard dash for a cornerback that are overhyped in a big, big way. And I think it's smart for Tet not to run. I totally agree with you. It does not sway me at all in terms of like where his draft stock is and where it goes.
For sure. I'm going to add one more thing there, Tigo, on Tet. If he were to run a 40, he's not getting anything out of it. It's not benefiting.
Yep.
The best case scenario is boom. The talent evaluators have the same stance on Tet McMillan. And then the worst case scenario, like you said, he goes out there, he embarrasses himself, runs an awful 40, and then he talks of him being a top 20, top 25 pick after he's been, linked to as he's projected to be taken now in the top 5. So it's only going to hurt. It would only hurt him if he were to run a 40. Obviously, he didn't do it at the combine today, but if he were to do it at his if he decided to do it at his pro day and changed his mind. So there's no benefit overall for Tet McMillan when it comes to running the 40. You see some of these wide receivers, like I think, for example, Xavier Worthy last year, breaking the 40-yard dash record, significantly upped his draft stock, in my opinion. And
another example of that from the same school, because Xavier Worthy was Texas, right?
Texas, yes.
Another, and it's beautiful that you bring this up because this is another example of like, no, Matthew Golden. Matthew Golden is a perfect example because Matthew Golden was considered a fringe first round wide receiver. He was either going to be in the bottom 12 picks or in the top 12 picks of the first or second round. And now what we're seeing is a wide receiver like that legitimately has top 20 potential in the draft because he happened to run a 4.29. So it's insane when you think about that.
Exactly. And again, overall, like there's some drills I like for a player depending overall on who the player is. But when all's said and done, like the quarterbacks are a perfect example. Will Howard, Tigo, I know someone you're not too big of a fan of, but I'm personally a big Will Howard fan. Like for example, I was watching the combine earlier today when he did those horrific throws, 4 horrific throws in a row, and the crowd started booing him. Again, I'm not going to put too much stock in how a quarterback looks in his underwear. I'm going to watch the film from, his best game, his worst game, and a mediocre game, and that's how I'm going to evaluate a quarterback, coupled with numbers and traits overall, not how they look throwing the football in their underwear, along with most of the other positions. So again, it depends on the drill, but mostly the combine. I don't put too much stock into the combine overall.
I think that matters. If you can't throw the ball accurately in your underwear, what makes you think that you're going to do it in pads? And like that's the thing, like that matters. Like
from this past season.
What was that?
Said you watched the tape from this past season
where he wasn't really asked to do much. Like, that team didn't operate because of Will Howard.
No, I'm talking about quarterbacks in general.
No, but I understand. But, like a different example of a quarterback that I actually think helped raise their stock because of the way that he was throwing was Quinn Ewers.
Oh, Quinn Ewers, yeah.
Well, Quinn Ewers, I don't think Shuck can do anything about his draft stock. Here's a fun factoid.
Yeah.
Here's a fun factoid. Shuck was the backup quarterback in Oregon when Justin Herbert was there. Justin Herbert is about to get his second he's on his second contract in the NFL.
He's older than Trevor Lawrence, Tigo.
He's the same age as Tua. Tua's been in the league for 5 years.
What was he in college for? 7 years? Like, that's one of the main reasons I don't have him high. I was reading a column from Zach Rosenblatt of The Athletic the other day, and he was basically saying before the combine that some Some teams are basically interested in potentially taking Shook in the first round. The fact that you could be interested, in my opinion, in taking someone who'll be 26 years old in September in the first round is an absolute joke, in my opinion. Like, he's some nice velocity. Overall, solid mechanics, different arm angles, which is nice.
Yeah, he's a
I'm
good
sure
prospect.
he's a solid prospect.
And
But
if
he's
he
not a
was
first-round
20,
guy.
if he was 20, like, it would be a totally different thing,
Yep.
right? But
I agree.
he's not.
I agree 1000%. And Tigo, the chat's saying my
Yeah.
mic's a little low and I can't do anything on my end.
I'm
to help that.
working on it on the background.
Thank you, Tigo. I appreciate that.
And that's like my thing where it's just like there's a lot of things that can do that you can do that are just not the like drafting. That's the throwing in your underwear matters. And like that's why like you see like these super high level quarterbacks, like prospects not throwing. This is why Shador didn't throw. This is why Cam didn't throw, because there was no benefit for them throwing.
Exactly.
Right? But like guys like Will Howard and Quinn Ewers and Jackson Dart, they needed to show that they can throw and that they can throw accurately and that they can do those things like efficiently in their underwear. And he just didn't do it. And ironically, and this is where like I don't like the part about the combine. In the inverse, Quinn Ewers goes out there. He did really well today with all of his, work. And he does his stuff. He does his drills and he does all of this stuff. And legitimately, I saw a report today that had Quinn Ewers, possibly because of his combine workout and because of the meetings, more importantly, the meetings, he might have moved himself into the position of QB2 in this draft.
I still think he's a third-round guy, Tigo.
No, me too.
Yeah.
I'm not arguing for Quinn Ewers. No, I'm just saying like the conversation has been that I have seen, and you guys don't have to take my word for it. It's all over Twitter. Ian Rappaport said it that guys like Quinn Ewers, guys like Jackson Dart may have played themselves into a spot that's above Shador Sanders. That right now consensus is Cam Ward is QB1, and that if a quarterback was going to be taken number 1 overall, it was going to be Cam, and that they don't know if any team would take Shador above like pick 15. Like it's absolutely insane that like going back to what you said at the beginning. Sometimes people put too much stock into the combine and the workouts and what's happening.
Exactly.
Because like
the meetings are important.
Meetings are super important, which I have a fun question for you.
Okay.
Right? I'm not going to answer it because if you guys want to know what the answer to my is, come on Wednesday. We're going to be doing it all next week. But I'm going to give you some time to think about it. You don't have to answer it right now. You're a GM. You're a head coach. And we know that these meetings get wild, right? Basketball, rock, paper, scissors, whatever it is. If you had one gimmick, you got a gimmick that you're going to use to evaluate a certain player or position or whatever it is. If you had one gimmick, what is your gimmick, your thing that you would do to try to get something out of a player? Like it can be quarterback specific or whatever, but like, you know what I'm saying? What is it?
Back to you next week.
Yeah, no. Think about it. Obviously, you don't have to answer it right now. Think about it. But I do think that that's an interesting question because like in the Talking Jets group chat, we've been going about this all week. And I think it's there are some wild ones. I think I've got a pretty wild one. I've got one that kind of makes sense, and then I've got one that's just absolutely ridiculous, but in my mind makes sense. But yeah, that's an interesting one. But again, I think like the meetings matter. Now, let me ask you this, because I am curious about this with you, to ask you this. The combine is an opportunity for a lot of these guys really go out there and make a name for themselves, really boost their draft stock, really do a lot of good things for themselves. And then you get guys like Shedeur Sanders and Cam Ward who go to the combine and they don't work out. They didn't do anything. They're just there for the press and the meeting.
Yeah,
and
radio row appearances.
Yeah, radio
exactly.
row appearances and all of that stuff. What do you think that that's okay? Would you make a change if you're going to come to the combine, you have to work out? Like, would you make the workouts mandatory? What are your thoughts about players just showing up and not doing any of the workouts and all of that stuff?
I love it. I think it's great, especially for these top prospects. It might not be as exciting for us fans, the avid combine watchers who wants to see everyone, play in their underwear, see what they have, see their 40 times, see all the drills, see the the bench press, which better be removed next year, the stupidest drill / exercise / activity, the whole combine weekend. I think it's great, though, because
I'm curious why you think that. No, keep going.
A player like Cam Ward, a player like Shedeur Sanders, what do they have to take and NFL teams go, boom, this just significantly boosted their draft stock? They only have things to lose when you really think about it.
Then don't go.
What?
Then don't go.
Meet with teams. With teams. Get in a room with. Sorry, what'd you say?
No, go.
Get in a room with these. We just spoke about how important meetings were. At the combine, but you asked me, you think it should be a mandatory workout? I said no. I was listening to the With the First Pick podcast the other day with Ryan Wilson and Mike Renner from CBS, and they had Cam Ward on, and they basically straight up asked Cam Ward, so why aren't you working out? And he said, I've shown everything I can. I don't have anything else left to prove. It's all on the tape. You want to draft me, watch the tape, make your opinion off that. I just don't think there's anything in the workouts that specifically benefit them. All they have is to lose. They don't have anything to win over this week. So that's why I think what do they have to prove?
No.
What do they have to win?
I totally agree with that. Then don't go to the combine. You're not utilizing the combine for what it's for. Remember, I think a lot of people, like, obviously, because they're the sexy names, they look at the top prospects, they look at the top guys, and they go, oh, my God, the Cam Wards and the Mason Grahams and all of these different guys and all of that. And I go, yeah, I get it. But if you're going to the combine and you're not going to work out, then don't go. Nothing is stopping you from meeting with teams outside of the combine. Teams. And we're probably going to do that. We're probably going to meet with some of the players that we met at the combine again at our facilities or over Zoom or whatever it is. Like, my thing is, you get a guy like Cam Ward who goes, right, to the combine, doesn't work out, only has the meetings, and then a guy like, did DJ Uwangalele get invited? Did KJ Jefferson get invited? Like, these are guys who have declared for the draft. And, like, if we're
Did
being
Shiloh
honest,
Sanders even get an invite?
Shiloh didn't get an invite.
Yeah.
Like, you get these guys who are all fighting for an opportunity and a platform to actually go out there. The combine is about the workout. The meetings are a byproduct of that. I think something that matters is the workout. And so while I get what you're saying, and I totally agree, this is not me saying that these top prospects need to go to the combine and they need to work out. No, it literally does nothing but hurt you. But don't go. Leave that spot open for some of these guys who are trying to sneak in to the bottom half of the draft. Because if you get drafted in the 7th round, that's life-changing money. That's still a couple $1 million. And we're giving it and we're wasting these spots on these kids who are never going to work out. Not work out as in, like, succeed in the NFL, but, like, literally work out at the combine.
Do the drills.
And it's do the drills. That's a better way to say it. Where other guys would, and we would have more arms, and we would have more runners and more people going there. Mm-hmm. And so, like, that's my thought process on it. Like, dude, you can have meetings with teams. If, like, change the rules so that players and teams can have more meetings with these players. What hurts a meeting? Nothing hurts a meeting. Or have, like, a dedicated like event just for the
Uh-huh.
players to come in, like these top players to meet with these teams, you know what I mean? And have it like
They
right
could do it
after
at
the
their pro
combine.
days. They could do it at their pro days as well. And my thing was, you never said why would these players go. I said to meet with teams. I never said why they should or should not go. I agree with your
Right.
take there 1000%. Like they there are players who, well, you don't put that much stock into the combine, from taking someone who had a 4th round grade going into the combine and now elevating that to an early 2nd round grade in that sense, but certainly could up someone's draft stock who went from being an undrafted guy to a draft pick. I mean, I'm going to use the Senior Bowl example here, Tigo. Look at Tyler Shook. He's someone who, entering the Senior Bowl, was viewed as pretty much an undrafted free agent. He has a great week down in Mobile, pretty much ups his value to then a 7th round pick. Looks great at the combine. Now people are talking about him as a potential day 2 option. Like, if you have a really, really good all-star week and you have a solid combine, you could certainly sneak into the draft if you start off as an undrafted guy. I understand what you're saying 1000% there. And thing is, I wouldn't hate putting a mandate on that. That's what I'll say. But
I think a really good example is Trey Amos this class. Trey Amos put together an excellent workout at the combine. And he went from being like 2nd or 3rd round pick. I think he's a top 50 pick now. That's a big deal. That's a big deal because we got to see a lot of athleticism. Another guy, if you're following Dom C has not stopped raving about this player, Azariah Thomas, the cornerback out of Florida State. He was considered a 2nd round pick. Every single day was going to be a 2nd round pick.
He was like a 3rd round pick by this time the college football season ended. 3rd, 4th round guy.
And people started watching the tape, moved himself up into the 2nd round, solidified himself as a 2nd round pick, goes to the combine, interviews excellently, and dominates the workouts. Now he's a 1st round pick. Now he earned himself a 5th year option and a ton more money. Like, this matters in a big, big way. Like, another guy, Jihad Campbell, was a guy that like people were like maybe gets taken in the bottom of the 1st, but definitely the top of the 2nd. Jihad Campbell's going to be a top 25 pick now because of his workout.
Some have been saying top 15 for Campbell. Like, I think the order is going to be so unpredictable.
Totally.
Another great example, Tigo, is Shamar Stewart. Someone who has all the traits in the world, all the measurables. Like, I saw the thing from the 33rd team of his measuring numbers compared to Myles Garrett. All the traits in the world. The thing is, if you draft him, you're gambling on pure upside because he's someone who had 4.5 sacks in college. But he's another one who went from, based on his production, having no testing on him whatsoever, he went from being end of the 1st round, early 2nd round type guy, pretty much that 25 to 34, 33 range overall, to now there's talks of him sneaking into the top 10, sneaking into the top 7.
And in the inverse, because this is a beautiful example.
Thank you.
Shamar Stewart is exactly what you just said. He is super traitsy and didn't have like all this great tape, but showed that he is a freak of an athlete at the combine. You know who had that same exact like drafting
Structure,
profile and didn't work out and now is falling down boards because these other guys are skyrocketing up boards? Mikael Williams out of Georgia. Another guy.
He was talked about as a top 10 guy.
Now he's not.
Right when the season ended. Yeah.
Now he's not because guys like James Pierce Jr., Shamar Stewart, Donovan Azarua Wawakawa, however you pronounce his last name, they all went out and tested phenomenally. And for players to go up, someone's got to go down.
Also, like a Mike Green from Marshall, who
didn't have a good combine.
He didn't have a good combine, but at least he has the production in college to back him up. Like, if he had Shamar Stewart's college numbers, per se, and he had the combine he just had, he'd be dropping into the mid-2nd round at this point. But he was very, very productive at Marshall. I know there was the off-field issues at his first school, but at Marshall, he was super, super productive this past season. So that's still going to keep him. So ultimately, it's a balance of traits. And because let's be real, Tigo. If Shamar Stewart had Abdul Carter's numbers, he'd be the number 1 overall pick by a landslide in this year's draft.
He'd be a generational talent.
Exactly. He would be Myles Garrett. He would be Myles Garrett if he had Abdul Carter's numbers this past season. So, again, I think it's a mix overall of traits. And, like, personally, if I'm the Jets, I'm not touching Shamar Stewart with a 6-foot pole. Just because I think you need someone to come in who's pretty much it's going to be a guarantee they're able to come in and be a starter, which there's no guarantees in the draft. It's a complete crapshoot. But I think Shamar Stewart is far from a guarantee when it comes to coming in and being productive right away because, again, he has the traits in the world, but he is yet to show he's able to apply those traits and be a really, really solid and overall productive every down pass rusher. Like compared to, again, Mike Green from Marshall, who was very, very productive. James Pierce from Tennessee, Abdul Carter, all these different
James
guys.
Pierce did sorry to interrupt.
Yeah,
He did
all good.
so much good for his draft stock, like legitimately with the workout and all of those things. Like I think he put himself single-handedly in the it's Abdul Carter and then it's Pierce. I think that's how good his combine was. Like, because I don't think that there's like, who are you going to put over Pierce other than Abdul Carter? Like, it's just
No one. My top four is Carter 1, obviously, Pierce 2, Green 3, Stewart 4. That's my top four. Just because like I like Shamar Stewart. I really like all of his traits, but I can't put someone as a top 2, a top 3 edge rusher in this year's class who had 4.5 sacks in college. I just can't do it. You eventually have to show me it. For example, Joe Douglas as a general manager. He did everything he could to put this team in position to win. He did everything he can to put the Jets in position to win. Ultimately, when he finished his tenure, though, he's 32-67. You eventually have to prove something. And Shamar Stewart is yet to show me that he is able to come in, like I said, be a legit every down pass rusher and make an impact greater rather, than a Mike Green, a James Pierce, a Abdul Carter type guy. So he's just yet to show me that. And that's my concern with when all said and done when it comes to Shamar Stewart.
yeah, Shamar Stewart. To me, I don't think it was ever going to matter what his workout was going to be, because like my biggest
combine.
At the combine, because my biggest like in terms of like the Jets being wanting to target him.
Oh, I thought you meant overall because this significantly upped his draft. Like overall,
I
how
think
he
so
measured?
too. No, totally. But I mean, like, I still can't get past like his lack of use of his hands on the tape. You know what I mean?
That's what I said. He has to show me he could get more than 4.5
being
sacks
able
in
to convert
college.
pressures into sacks, and like he can't use the complaint that Will McDonald had, which was I played out of position, because Will McDonald played out of position all of his last year and still broke records, at Iowa. He doesn't have that excuse. And the tape don't lie. He doesn't have a pass rush plan. He doesn't have a thing like that. And so you can for sure look at a guy like that and be like, you know what, though? Totally. He's got all the athleticism in the world. And if we've got time, we can develop that and we can turn that into something. But that's if you got time. It's the conversation that the Jacksonville Jaguars had a couple of years ago when they messed up on. Do you take the guy that you know is going to work in the NFL in Aiden Hutchinson? Or do you take the guy that's traitsy as all hell but couldn't show it at Georgia in Trayvon Walker? And they took Trayvon Walker. And it was just like, they messed up. Because Trayvon Walker was traitsy as hell. He had the same kind of, we have a lot of these guys in this class. Shamar Stewart, Pierce, and all of these guys that just like, dude, their athleticism is through the roof, but just don't have the tape to back it up. And so, yeah, I think you're like, again, it's finding that balance. It's finding that balance of saying, you know what? The combine matters. And it does. And it's going to affect people's perspectives and how they go about, their evaluations of players. But to a certain extent, at no point in time should a guy go from being undraftable to draftable because of a combine. I think that's the biggest thing. I think what you're going to see
They could go from undraftable to draftable, but I think it's hard to, like you said there, go from really, really draftable to undraftable.
Yeah.
And in the sense, sorry to cut you off there, but
you're right.
Like a Cam Ward, like we spoke about, all he has is something to lose. And that's why I understand these people not participating. And then on the flip side, just don't come. Like, there's certain people who only have things to lose. Some players have nothing to win and just everything to lose.
Like a guy who I think who is a big loser, I think honestly just maybe worked himself out of being drafted, Sebastian Castro.
You think he's going to go undrafted?
Yeah, dude.
Undrafted
he was so stiff and unathletic and just unless he goes to his pro day and
and
absolutely
dominates.
dominates, and I mean like dominates. He has to like complete 180. If he doesn't dominate, there is a like because like Sebastian Castro was already being talked about as a late day 3 pick.
It was a round 3 pick a few days ago, by the way.
Really? According to who?
PFF. PFF had him as a
Really?
round 3 pick before the combine.
Wow.
Yeah, I'm gonna
I
pull up
just
their. I love Trevor Sikkema. I rely on a lot of his analytics. I look at his big board and stuff all the time. He's another one who it's really really interesting the way like for example, Ted McMillan is number 3 ranked overall player. Will
mhm.
Campbell is his number 6 ranked overall player. One, two, three.
Wow,
Dylan
PFF has him
Gabriel
at
is
77.
yeah, and
That's wild. I don't
here's
have him
one.
that high. I had him in like the like
I had him in the fourth.
140 to 160 range.
I had him in around the fourth, but Tigo, here's another one you love from Sycamore. Dylan Gabriel is third ranked quarterback this year.
I get it.
Third ranked.
I get it. If he wasn't 5'2", 75
They have
pounds.
him. They have him listed at 6 foot. That's the funniest part. They have him
Dude,
listed
come
at
on.
6 foot. And by the way, Tigo, our guy Tez Johnson today weighed in. I think 154 pounds. It was
Jesus, you can't
compared to
be
the
that light.
165 he was listed at.
You can't be that light.
150. You can't. I don't. Tigo. I don't think you can roster anyone below 180 pounds at the NFL level. But I mean, 154 pounds. Like, where do you draft him now? Because he's twitchy. He's a punt returner. He's
But
very
like,
agile.
yeah, so was Tank Dell, and his career might be over because of a shattered leg.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? Like it's,
Yeah.
dude, it's
That's
just
that's why I say where does he fall? Because you can't. I don't think you can roster someone like that. I don't care the traits they have.
it's so hard. Like it's there are like certain things that are just so hard to get over. There are certain measurables that are so like who had a big win at the combine?
Who is that?
Jalen Milrow
Yeah.
came in
Jets
with
met with him.
with
Jets
with
really liked him apparently.
Jalen Milrow comes in with 9+ inch hands. That's big for him because we were talking about a couple of days ago about him having 8-inch hands. And I'm sorry, you know what? I'm going to spoil a little bit of what I'm going to say on Wednesday so you guys can get the other part 2, on the Armchair GM. One of my crazy combine things was if you're interviewing a quarterback, one of the things that I would do is I would ask them for their Chipotle burrito order, and I would see how they handle a burrito with their hands. Because if you can handle and manage, and
That's
I'm
a
talking
good
about a
one.
beefy boy, like a thick burrito.
Yeah.
If you
Not
can
like a- not
manage
like a
like a
mini
nice
one, yeah.
thick boy burrito, and you've got it, I'm going to trust you with the football. And if you're sitting there fumbling with a burrito and you got no control over it with a burrito over as a quarterback, I'm not going to trust you with the football. And that's stupid, but it works. And it makes sense if you don't think about it all that long. But again, Jalen Milrow, a guy who is being talked about as like the more this process went on, the more Jalen Milrow fell down the boards. Because first, at the beginning of it was always Cam Ward, Shedeur Sanders. But then it was supposed to be like Cam Ward, Shedeur Sanders, Jalen Milrow. And then it became Cam Ward, Shedeur Sanders, and then Quinn Ewers. And then it became Cam Ward, Shedeur Sanders, and Jackson Dart. And then Riley Leonard had a run as the QB3. And then Will Howard has a run at QB3. And like all of these different quarterbacks. And like it was always a thing of Jalen Milrow is the best prospect this draft class in terms of quarterback. Hands down.
From an upside standpoint.
Hands down. When you're talking
He's
about
the
just
highest
straight up
ceiling.
traits. Just straight
He's the
up
highest
traits.
ceiling. He's the highest ceiling, but he's the lowest floor at the same time. That's the thing.
And that's the whole thing. And you can't be that and also have 8-inch hands.
Exactly. And the thing is, for example, Jalen Milrow reminds me a lot of like Joe Milton and Anthony Richardson combined. Reminds me a lot of both those guys. And the thing is, the one concern is he's a pure athlete. Whoever drafts him is going to need to take him, and he's going to be a project in the sense he's going to need to sit for at least one full season because
2.
you're literally going to need to take Jalen Milrow, the athlete, and teach him how to play the quarterback position.
Yep.
That's what you need to do with Jalen Milrow. That's why he's a project, but at the same time, he's the highest ceiling. So I like Milrow in the third or fourth round just from an upside standpoint. But again, I like someone who has a lot of upside, but at the same time, I like a Kyle McCord and I like a Will Howard because I think they have high floors.
Yeah, I don't agree with that one.
You
I
don't think
also
Kyle?
don't like the Milton comparison
Why?
because Milton is 6'5". He's got 3 inches on him and he's got 20 pounds on him. Like I get what you're
No,
saying.
I'm saying like the deep ball, the accuracy stuff
Yeah,
like
like
that.
I
I'm
get
not
what you're
comparing
saying.
him from like a
I don't like it.
prototypical standpoint.
Yeah.
What about Richardson? Isn't Richardson 6'2" as well?
Yeah, but Anthony Richardson wasn't. I never
Oh, he's
thought.
6'4". He's 6'4", 244. I'm comparing Anthony Richardson, the athlete, and Joe Milton's arm.
No,
That's who
like
Jalen Milrow
I
is.
get what you're saying. I just don't. I don't. Again, I don't love that comparison.
Who would you
There's-
compare him to?
I don't know. There really isn't like because like both of those guys have 2 or 3 inches on him and 30 pounds on him.
Again, I'm comparing their
You
skill
know?
set, not how they're
No, no,
built.
no. But I understand. But like that matters because they're not the same runners. Anthony Richardson and Joe Milton, when they ran, they were much more aggressive runners. Like when they got the ball in their hands and they were in open space, like it's like saying, I think a really good example of this is like, while athletically you can say that Jalen Hurts and Josh Allen have similar profiles because like they're both good with their legs and they're both plus in the run game. Or like another example would be like Jalen Hurts and like Lamar Jackson. You could say those things because like again like you don't necessarily trust their arms and all, but like they're just not the same athletically because of their build. I don't know. I don't want to get lost in the weeds here. Milrow is an interesting guy, I think, obviously. I wouldn't touch him. I think he's perfect for the Rams. I think the Rams should get him. I think he's
That's interesting.
perfect for the Rams because one, I'll admit it. Okay, Jimmy, shut up. I get it. Where is it? Jimmy put it in the chat. And we see the chat, guys. Where is it? There he will. So you get to admit he was wrong about Stafford going to the Giants. Look, I said I had a gut feeling. I also didn't think that they were going to budge. I honestly didn't see a world in which the Rams were gonna like reverse on that and like extend Stafford. I thought they were gonna try to get younger. I thought they were gonna do all of those things, and then they extend him. They give him a multi-year deal, and all of that stuff. So I get it, Jimmy, but like that's like a perfect place because like if Milrow goes there, there's no expectation for him to start.
Mm-hmm.
None. And he has some really, really, really brilliant minds in
Yeah.
that room, in McVay and LaFleur and all of those things. Like
Don't they have Stenson Bennett though as their like project type guy, which is an absolute mess. I don't think he's even going to take a
no,
regular
Stetson
season.
Bennett is just there.
Yeah.
You know, he's not an
He,
actual
he's
project.
he's like
You
the
don't-
Jets Jordan Travis in the sense he's just kind of waiting in the rafters.
No, because Jordan Travis, at least some people believed he had some upside. Stetson Bennett was just like is he a
well,
low
at the time he was a
floor backup?
national champion after they drafted him, so they're
So?
like maybe we can get something out of him.
Yeah, but didn't
He was
come into the
25.
draft?
Is he 25?
No, I'm pretty sure he's like 83. I'm pretty sure he came in as the oldest player in the NFL. You know, it's just dude, when you get a player who's 25, 26 years old, that's who they are. They're not going to develop.
That
It's
they've hit their
very-
ceiling. They've hit their ceiling.
Yeah, it's very rare. Like Quincy Williams is rare.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because Quincy developed into the player that he is late. That's rare. You don't see that all that often.
Yeah, something a lot about a quarterback that I want to let me just get a quick age check. Someone who was productive during COVID, which is crazy to think, who's transferring to SMU for his final college season. He turns 20, he turned 24 today, actually. So he's going to be 25 before the draft next year. Tyler Van Dyke,
Mm-hmm.
who was with Wisconsin last year. He just
Was with
transferred
Miami
to
before that.
Yes, he was with Miami during COVID in 20 and 21.
Mhm.
Super, super productive. And then he got hurt. And then that's where his college career kind of went up in flames in the sense he was transferring everywhere, tried to get something out of Wisconsin, didn't go too well. Now he's at SMU for his final year of eligibility. He's someone who's really, really talented, 6'4", 225 pounds, the same build as a Tyler Shuck. But again, the same concern as Tyler Shuck in the sense he's going to be 25 before the NFL draft.
Yep.
So again, like he's hit his ceiling already.
Yeah.
He's hit his ceiling.
And,
And that's the problem with older prospects. If he didn't get hurt and he came out in 21, 22 after those 2 great years with Miami, we don't know where he is at the NFL level, but I can almost guarantee you he's not going to really do
there
much
was
at the NFL level.
conversation after that year 1 that he was going to be the number 1 overall pick whenever he declared. I had buddies of mine sending me Van Dyke highlight clips to be like, bro, watch out for this kid. And I don't know. I had an inkling feeling that like I was like, I don't like getting into prospects like way too early unless it's a meme like with Arch Manning, because that's just a meme. We have no idea what he is at quarterback, obviously. But it's just very, very, again, it's just interesting to see all of these things and what's going to happen. I'm surprised Milroe didn't run. If he ran and he ran a sub 440, which I think he has the ability to do, he would have ran himself into a first-round pick. Somebody would have taken him in the first round.
It's so funny, Tigo, because at the Senior Bowl, the first few days of practices, he really, really struggled from everything I was seeing on Twitter. Everything I was reading was Jalen Milroe actually participating in the Senior Bowl, significantly lowering his draft stock. That's everything I was reading the first 2 days of Senior Bowl week.
Yeah.
And now we're talking about him. Like, you think there's any world, Tigo, he can sneak into the first round?
Yep. Again, if he runs at his pro day with favorable clocks.
Top 10.
No,
Top 10.
God, no.
Okay.
I think there's one quarterback taken in the top 10.
Cam?
Yeah.
Where do you think he goes 1?
No, I think he ends up 2.
He's either going 1 or 3, in my opinion. I don't think the Browns are taking a quarterback this year.
I didn't say the Browns were taking him.
Who's coming out?
I said what I said. I said what I said. I think he goes 2 to an undisclosed team. I think he goes 2.
Okay.
Yeah.
Who goes 1? Carter? Hunter?
Yeah, Carter. I think you got to take a sure thing. I think Carter is more of a sure thing than Hunter. I think the draft right now, if I was a betting man, and I am not, if I was a betting man, my guess for the first round is that it goes Carter, Cam, Hunter.
Now, you said Milroe's going to go in the first round. Who do you think he goes to? Like, let me check.
Like I said, I think that if you're the
Steelers
Rams,
at 21, that could be interesting.
No.
Because they have Milroe and Justin Fields who's a free. They could technically bring him back.
No, what you're looking at is someone coming up to 32 to go get him. Like that's the plan. Or
to get a 5th-year option on him. To get a 5th-year option.
Or Detroit takes him at 28. Like the team that you're looking for is the team that has the veteran quarterback that they're not going to move on from anytime soon. That's the team that you're looking at. So like perfect examples, Seattle. I don't think they're moving on from Geno anytime soon. So you can take Jalen Milroe for the 5th-year option and sit him for 3 years because you have Geno for the next couple of years. So there's no rush to get him on the field.
Baker with the Bucks at 19.
The Bucks, I think they're more committed to Jalen Milroe than that. But like the Rams, that would be a perfect succession plan. They just gave him a multi-year deal, to stick around. There's no rush to have Jalen Milroe play. Hell, they have Stetson Bennett there. They can play Stetson Bennett. And like that's a perfect example. The Lions is a perfect. There's no rush to move on from Jared Goff. None at all. You don't have a backup quarterback at all on that team that's worth anything. And so like you can have that conversation and you can think about bringing him in. Those are the teams that you're looking at, in my opinion, are like teams who have old veteran quarterbacks that are the Dallas Cowboys. That's another example.
Yeah.
Like if Jerry wants to get wild, takes Genty at 12 and then comes back into the first for Jalen Milroe, like there's your succession plan. You don't have to stay Dak. You don't have to keep Dak. And so like those are the teams that I think that are going to be in that conversation. If the Saints decide to keep Derek Carr, Saints coming back up.
Which Mickey Loomis basically confirmed the other day.
Yeah, but like, you know what I'm saying? Those are your teams that I think are going to be in the Jalen Milroe conversation. The Jalen Milroe window is very, very small because you need to sit him. Like you can't have a world in which Milroe touches the field year 1. That can't be a thing. That like you have to have a.
There's talks of him needing to sit for 2 full seasons.
I think he does need to sit for 2 full seasons.
and that's why, like you said, you'd want him get him in the first round in the sense, get him in the first round, and then the second because you have the 5th-year option on him, you
Yep.
pick up right away. So
Because
I
like
could.
because like look and look at every example in the recent history of players who sat year one and their success in the playoffs.
Hurts.
Hurts
Hurts is a
just
good
won a
one.
Super Bowl. Mahomes
Mahomes.
won multiple Super Bowls. Jordan Love is now a really good quarterback, and like I didn't think he was coming out of the draft. I didn't think he was gonna, and he was able to sit behind Aaron Rodgers.
Did Herbert sit?
No,
Okay, yeah, no,
Herbert
he didn't
came in
sit.
and immediately started. But like, dude, we have a game plan because look at these guys who are being taken and sitting.
Drake May. Drake May's another one who had some
that doesn't
success.
count. He sat
He
for
had
like 6
some
weeks.
success this past season.
No. But I mean, he sat for 6 weeks. It doesn't count as sitting. I mean, like literally sitting, like legitimately sitting.
Lamar came in right away, right?
Like, yeah, not a guy who was like fake sat. Like, I mean,
Yeah.
like legit. JJ McCarthy is going to be a great example. We're going to see what happens with him. Obviously, he sat because he got hurt, but like he was still in meetings and he was still doing all those things. But he's starting next year, guaranteed. So like now you're in a situation of like, just is that going to be a positive thing? Did Brock Purdy sit, or did he win the job straight up? I don't remember. Chat, help us out.
I think he sat. Let's see.
I think he sat too.
I
have no idea. But like that's the whole thing there. Is that kind of conversation. So it's interesting. We're gonna see a lot of new things happening and developing with the draft. Do you think that there has been, because of like the combine and the meetings and the conversations outside of some of the names that we've already talked about, do you see or have you heard any like Jets specific nuggets, like interesting things that you would like to talk about when it comes to the combine?
I mean, let's be real, Tigo. At this point, it's just all smoke screen at this point in time. So, a lot of smoke screen stuff. Something I want to mention here from Rich Samini, something he pointed out here from Teron Davenport, the Titans beat reporter for ESPN, who's on the ground in the Indy, says Jets quarterback coach Charles London put Alabama quarterback Jalen Milroe through a workout while other quarterbacks were running. That's something that was a little interesting to me. I connected the dots in the sense Jalen Milroe's a running gun type guy. Really, really mobile. Charles London is primarily a running back coach throughout the entirety of his coaching career. Played the running back position at the pro level. So I found that interesting. Other than that, not really. There's nothing that changes my opinion too much on any of these prospects. I mean, we heard the trade up for Cam talks before the combine, so nothing that really leaves me in awe. I like that what Cam said was interesting, but at the same time, I think we're getting all hyped up of Cam Ward said he wants to be a part of the New York Jets. Tyler Warren was number 44 because of John Riggins. Like, of course, what are they going to say? No, F the Jets. I don't want to go there. They're prospects just hoping to be taken by any team. They're not going to say, they're only going to say great things about every single club. So I don't put too much stock into what they say overall about the team. So it's smoke screen, Tigo. If I had to make one takeaway, it was probably that from Rich Samini, which he pointed out, which isn't even a big deal at all, which is could have been just those two having a conversation about ball and had nothing to do with him potentially, him talking about how we would fit in the Jets offensive scheme or something in that nature. So I think it's smokescreen at this point. And the meetings, the thing is like these players meet with teams at the Senior Bowl and the Shrine Bowl, but it's like 5 minutes. They get like 10 minutes or whatever it is with a prospect. And it's basically at that time, they don't know who these prospects are. So it's just getting to know them. Who are you? What's your story? Why are you here right now? Why should we take you? That's pretty much what it is. Now you get these formal meetings at the combine, which there hasn't been too much intel. We haven't gotten too much intel on how specific meetings went. Did the Jets love Tyler Warren? Are they interested in taking him at pick 7? So for the Jets, there wasn't a ton of news overall, in my opinion.
See, I think there was a ton of news, specifically with the meetings. Because thank you guys for letting us know Brock Purdy did sit. Remember, Jimmy and Sam needed to get hurt before Brock Purdy, and then he never gave up the job. Yeah. I think that there are some interesting nuggets coming out of the meetings because, like, we know that we had a meeting with Cam Ward. like an in-depth meeting with Cam Ward, like a sit-down meeting with Cam, not like a quick 5-minute. So we know that. That's
They had
interesting.
formals with a lot of guys.
No. Of course, that's interesting because at least it shows that there is some stock in the idea of us trading up. I don't know how much validity.
Caleb Williams last year.
But again, we needed a quarterback. Like that wasn't out of the realm of if the Bears were going to stick with Fields, which I didn't think that they would. Like they could have sold that. Like you could have convinced me to trade up for Caleb. That's besides the point. I'm not saying that there's validity in there. Everything that I've heard was that the meeting with Quinn Ewers was really intense. Like deep, like intricate levels of ball knowledge.
And is that stuff
intense.
that's in the media, or is that someone you've spoken to?
That is someone I have spoken to who spoke to someone. We both know him. We both know the guy that I talked to who talked to the guy.
All right, we can. Okay. That's interesting. But again, I don't think it's.
I just messaged you.
I see it. Thank you.
Okay, so now you know. I was like,
that's interesting.
Yeah, it's not me saying this.
Yeah.
But the guy I trust him very, very much. He's not going to just blow smoke up my butt. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
so, like,
for sure.
He's
not going to spew false information.
Exactly. And I don't want his name out there because he hasn't publicly tweeted it. This is his scoop. If he's going to drop it, I'm going to let him do it. But I've heard that meeting from him, from the people that he was able to speak to who are at the combine, is very, very, very involved. I think that's interesting. And I think this one makes me very happy that we had 2 formal meetings with Tet McMillan. Not just one, but 2. So you met him once,
like
and then you ran it back and you met it again, and you met him again. No
That's
comment,
important
Jimmy
because
Jets.
he wasn't at a bowl game. Sorry, I don't mean to cut you off. So you didn't you didn't get to do the 10, 15 minutes. Who are you? Get to know you. Why should we draft you? Okay, boom. Have a great rest of your week. I'm assuming that first formal meeting was an in-depth sit down of what is your story? Why are you here? Why should we take you at pick 7? And then the second one is where you just put the kid through the ringer and start running all that.
I think you're overvaluing that part of the process. There was an interview that what's his name played for the Panthers, wore the number 1.
Bryce Young.
Nope. Before him. Big, tall guy. Retired now. Does podcasts with the crazy hair and the hat. That celebration. Took him to a Super Bowl and lost. Was it a Super Bowl?
Cam Newton.
Cam Newton, thank you. So I could see him. I couldn't think of his name. There was a very interesting thing that Cam Newton said that he's like, when you go to these meetings, it's not about finding out who you are. They know who you are. If they've asked for a formal interview, they've talked to your nanny. They talk to your neighbors. They talk to your high school teachers. They've talked to your friends' girlfriends. They've talked to everybody because they're trying to figure out who you are. I got it, guys. Cam Newton. I'm kidding. Thank you guys so much. Couldn't remember his name. But, like, they know everything about you. So I think that having 2 meetings with Tet, that's all ball. That's all, like, dude, we put him through the ringer. He passed. We got some new stuff. Let's see if he passed. I like that one a lot. And then another one I think also kind of important. Not important. Some people are going to love this. Some people are going to hate this. But we have officially had like a formal meeting with you and mine, our favorite player in this combine, our favorite player in this draft, Ryan Fitzgerald, the kicker out of Florida State. We had a formal meeting with the kicker. And look.
Did he meet with any other teams?
I have no idea. I'm not keeping a track of meetings and all of that stuff and everything like that. But I want to get the kicker position right. Stop sleeping on special teams. Kickers matter. And Ryan Fitzgerald was the best kicker in the nation, and he improved. I think he missed 2 kicks all year, and I think one of them was a block, and the other one was like from 40-plus yards away. But he was 4, or I think it was either 3 for 3 or 5 for 5 in kicks over 50 yards.
Yeah.
Yeah.
At that point, though, would you rather draft him in the 6th round?
Yes.
Than sign like a Joey Sly, a Matt Prater, and Nick Folk, who are all free agents?
Yes. And it's all age. Like, ask
So you're
the
trying to catch like an Evan McPherson, a Tyler Bass. I think that's what you're
exactly.
trying.
I was about to say, ask the Bills if they're
Okay.
mad that they used a sixth round pick on Tyler Bass. Ask the Bengals if they're mad that they used a sixth round pick on Evan McPherson, who literally with his leg alone, for his leg alone, got them to a Super Bowl. You know what I mean? Back to back playoff game winning kicks. So like, if you get another really good example of this is Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh have had their kicker. I can see his face and I can't think of his name. They've had
Chris Boswell.
Boswell. He's had Boswell for 9 years. They've had Boswell. Myers left the Jets and has been with Seattle ever since. He's never left.
Yep.
And so like, my whole thing is kickers
Tucker was
matter.
with the Ravens up until all this stuff.
Happens. Yeah. Like my thing is kickers matter, and going about this idea of like, oh, we'll just keep signing guys in free agency. We'll just keep signing guys in free agency. It's just like, yeah, but like these guys are free agents for a reason. They're free agents for a reason, because if you find a good kicker and you're not the New York Jets, you hold on to that guy. Very rarely does a good kicker escape into free agency. It doesn't happen all that much. And like we thought we found that with Greg the Leg. But we learned what Dallas had him for like 6-7 years, and we learned, well, the reason they let him go is because he's wildly inconsistent. And, like, that's the whole thing. And, like, this isn't even me advocating for it to be Ryan Fitzgerald or any of the other kickers. Like, I have no idea. But, like, my whole thing is, I think the 6th round is a perfect spot for you to take a kicker. If you see that there is a kicker that is, like, blowing it out of the water, and, like, he's consistent and he's not missing, and his motion and all, because there are kicker scouts. That exists.
Yeah.
Take the swing.
That's the thing, 1,000%. And this is what I'm going to say about Joe Douglas and the whole kicking situation. I'm not mad at Joe Douglas not moving on from Greg Zuerlein during the preseason, but we saw Greg Zuerlein struggle in the preseason while Austin Seibert was automatic drilling 50-plus yarders.
There it is.
That's something a GM, again, I'm not blaming Joe Douglas for that specifically.
That is his fault. I don't think you can excuse him of that.
That's something a GM needs to pick up on.
Yep.
That's something a GM needs to pick up on.
But it's not just him. Because it's not I don't think it was just his decision to keep Greg. You got to put some blame on what's his name that went to San Francisco. I already forgot his name.
Brant Boyer. That's
his name. Yeah, Brant Crapper. You know what I mean? Because like you can't keep running a kicker who's missing kicks out in the field for as long as we did. We lost games straight up because of that. We lost games for a lot of reasons.
Do you blame the Broncos game on him?
Yep. I blame the Broncos game on him. I blame
solely the game when your offense scored 9 points. You blame it solely on him when he's kicking a 50-plus yarder and those crazy. Like I hate Greg the Leg after what happened last season. I blame him for a few losses. I don't blame him for the Broncos game now.
Okay, saying that, blaming him for the Broncos game, okay, that's a little bit rough. But like, you can blame him for the Bills game. He literally lost us the game. You know what I mean?
What, did he have 2 missed kicks that game?
2 missed kicks that would have led like if anyone gets blamed for that game, it's Garrett Wilson and Greg the Leg. It's their fault.
Mike Williams?
No. I said what I said. If you watch that game back, there is a play at the end of the game. Garrett has a free touchdown, and if he just can read the defensive leverage, I don't want to get into that. Yeah. It's Garrett Wilson, but more importantly, it's Greg the Leg. Because that kick that Greg goes up and misses, right before that play, there's a beautiful play design, which I can't believe I said this about the New York Jets.
What was the first game that Downing took over and they looked great?
Yes, and they looked great. And there was this really, really good play design that got Garrett open. And Aaron put a ball in where not where the route was supposed to go, but where the leverage of the defense was. He tried to lead Garrett up the field so that he can catch it and go, because it would have been him one-on-one with the safety, and then it would have been open field. And Garrett didn't read the leverage and just ran his route. And so the ball, he turns this shoulder and it's not this shoulder. And he goes, oh crap, it's on this shoulder, and he can't get to it. And so besides the point, even with that being said, Garrett's a young wide receiver. It makes sense that mistake happens. Greg's a veteran. Kicker, you can't miss those kick. We're getting down a rabbit hole that I don't want to get down to. I think taking a kicker matters. Like, there's a reason that the number 1 point scorer in the NFL is a kicker. How many games are won off of the legs of kickers in final moments? You know what I mean? If you got a guy who's got ice in his veins, and I'm not even saying that this is Ryan Fitzgerald or Borgale, I have no idea. But if you think that you've got a guy, I think he's worth a 6th-round pick. Because how many 6th-round picks actually play for your team?
Not many.
Not many.
I got a fun fact for you, Tigo. Here, I was just thinking about it. Could you name the one kicker who was taken in the 1st round of the draft, and by which team?
I think it was the Raiders that took him.
It was.
I don't remember the kicker's name.
Sebastian Jankowski.
There it is. Yeah.
And the Jets took Chris Nugent in the 2nd round.
Yep.
So why can't the Jets try to tie that record with the Raiders, and maybe Ryan Fitzgerald is the 1st-round pick?
Number 7 overall. But I just think it's interesting how people don't value like the special teams and all of that stuff. Guys, we're winding down to the end of the show. I want you guys to get your questions in the chat. Anything about the combine that you want me and Connor to answer over these next 10 minutes before we end the show. Super chats, skip the line. Guys, if you want to become a member of the channel, you can do that too. We're going to be doing a draft day giveaway. I still don't know what it is, if I'm going to be honest. But we're going to be giving something away on draft day to our members. So if you want to join the Tigo Navy, you can do that. If you had to guess, right now, what the Jets do at 7? We got all the rumors of the combine. We got all the things. If you had to guess, what are the Jets doing at 7?
They trade back to pick. Let me check. Let me just get the exact number. They trade back to pick 12 with the Cowboys. Cowboys come up for Genty. They get him. They get Genty. Jets trade back to pick 12, recoup a 2nd-round pick. They draft Tyler Warren from Penn State.
A 2nd to move that far back?
I mean a 3rd. That's what I meant. Like the Cowboys have a pick in the 70s. I think you trade back, you get Warren, and then in the 2nd round with the 44th pick, if you want my extra insight there, it's either Xavier Watts from Notre Dame or Tyleik Williams from Ohio State. And that's my way too early prediction because it's so hard right now.
I think Xavier Watts is a New York Jet.
Same.
If we keep our 2nd-round pick this year, Xavier Watts is a New York Jet, in my opinion. If he's there on the board, I think he makes so much sense for the Jets. Ball hawking, free safety on a championship caliber team, really, really good like character guy. He's been there a long time. He's a guy who didn't work out, and I'm happy he didn't work out because I think if he did work out and he did good, he would have shot up the draft. So that's very interesting. Zach Berner, did any of the QBs throwing change your mind, Tigo? Yes, a couple of them actually. I thought Quinn Ewers was throwing really, really well out there when we were watching him. I think I had him more of like a 4th or a 5th round grade. Like, and my thing was like, that was just me hating on this quarterback class, and I was like, I get it. Texas didn't ask him to do much. That offense operated in spite of him, not because of him. So like that makes sense. But I think he did a lot of good. I think Will Howard did a lot of bad for himself today. I think that the other one is Jackson Dart made more question marks than answered questions today with his throwing, because it was just like his tape, it was kind of erratic. It was just like, does he have the zip? Does he not have the zip? Like, what is...
It was inconsistent.
Yeah, and it was just, again, it's just like, it's weird in that front where you're just like, I don't know what to think of this guy.
His mechanics, though, just showcased again how bad his mechanics are. Yeah. The top half goes one way, the bottom half goes another. It's not like, I'm telling you, Tigo, Jackson Dart is not a good quarterback. Not a good quarterback.
Patrick Marinello, Cowboys came out and said that they are not taking a running back. They're not taking Genty or drafting a running back that high. Yeah, but like, are you ever going to trust Uncle Jerry?
He's from Dallas. He's from the Dallas area in Texas,
You ever going to trust Uncle Jerry? Uncle Jerry's going to lie to your face, my guy.
Yeah.
Uncle Jerry's been lying to those Dallas fans for
years.
years.
Are they a Mill Road team?
No. Yeah, because not at 12, but
Yeah, if they trade back to like 20 or 20,
People keep talking about this trade back. Who's trading up? And for who? The only hope
I'm
we
just
had.
saying in some scenario where they're
No,
able
no,
to
I
find a
get it.
trade
But like
partner.
the only hope we had for a trade up was Uncle Jerry. That's it. You're not coming up for any
I've
of
been
these
getting the
guys.
Saints in a lot of mocks.
For who? Who are they coming up for? Tet?
I'm gonna start like PFF has them coming up for Campbell at times.
I guess that makes sense. No, because they're still doing the Trevor Penny experiment.
Exactly.
Wait, isn't Ramachek a free agent?
Let me check.
I have no idea. The Rams, the Saints need a bunch of things, but like it's so weird. Like they're coming up. They're the team that's coming up for Will Campbell.
Who's gonna be there? Where they pick either?
Like who are they trading up with? The Giants?
No, the Jets. That's what I'm saying. That's
But
what
like
I've been
Will
saying.
Campbell's not going to be there at 7.
Who do you think is gonna go to the Patriots?
He's going to New England.
Yeah.
He's 1,000,000% going to New England. If New England doesn't take Will Campbell,
he's
fire
not
the
worth-
whole staff.
He's not worth a He's not worth a first round pick. He's not worth a top 10 pick.
Who else are they going to take? You need to protect Drake May.
Patriots?
Who else are they going to take?
Armand Membu.
Come on.
Josh Connerly.
No. Come on.
Those are both tackles at the next level.
Will Campbell is the best offensive lineman in this class.
He's not a tackle, though.
Doesn't matter. They need 5 offensive linemen.
Take Banks at that point. I'd take Banks over Campbell.
No. Not in the top 10. Not in the top 10. I think Will Campbell is going to play out like AVT. That's the best comp for him. He's AVT. And I think AVT went really
in the best case scenario.
No. I think that's a legitimate. Will Campbell is very, very good. He's just got short arms. Like, that's it. And I think that he maybe plays.
And he has an upright stance.
Yeah, but you can
coach that out of him.
You can coach that out of him. That's not like you can coach that out of him, and also he's just really strong. That's besides the point. They need the offensive line help. If they don't take him, okay. If they take another offensive lineman, that's cool. Totally. I'm with you.
I think it's Campbell or Tet for them.
If they take Tet doesn't get open quickly.
They need a pass catcher, though.
But he doesn't get open quickly. At that point, you got to take
Here's the
Luther
thing.
Burden.
The Patriots are the biggest wild card because they literally need every single position except quarterback, pretty much. Literally every single position.
Yeah, they need on offense. They need everything.
Yeah.
And I don't think they need a corner.
Their defense was terrible last season.
Nah, but they don't need a corner. Gonzalez is a stud.
They have Gonzalez, but...
And though they have Will Johnson or whatever his name is, their safety is no. They've got a really good safety.
Jones. I'm blanking on his...
Yeah, I don't remember his first name, but they got a really good safety.
Jonathan Jones.
And
Jack
they've
Jones.
got Barmore. Barmore's really good on the interior of the defensive line.
Yeah, isn't he? Didn't he have blood clots recently or something?
I don't know.
Kept him out for the...
I don't know. We're talking about the New England Patriots on a Jet Show. Let's get back to the chat. Tigo, off topic, but how do you get your Streamlabs to use the highlight chat widget? Because I believe you use Streamlabs. I think I do use Streamlabs, and Jack is on the Discord, right?
Yeah, he's in our Discord.
Jack, message me on Discord, and I'll send you the stuff, and I'll show it to you when I have time. More than happy to go over my whole shebang and show you how I use it. Dart was flat. Thank you, Jimmy. That's the word that I was looking for. Dart was flat. That's a beautiful example for what is it? Jack talks. I'm not gonna lie. I like Ward. I know it seems casual, but I like him and Quinn. I like Cam Ward too. If Cam's there at 7, take him. If he's there at 7, you take him.
You do your own evaluation, but that would concern me right off the bat that he was passed up on by all those teams who need starting quarterback. Again, you do your own evaluation. That would just scare me a little.
No, totally. And I'm with you.
I think Aaron Glenn and Darren Moose, you're going to have the utmost confidence in order to take him in the first round, point blank, period. Because when you take him in the first round, you're locked into him for 3 years. You go 3 and 14.
If he doesn't work out, you're fired.
Exactly. That's what I said. Like you put him in right away. Let's say he somehow wins the starting job. You put him in right away. You win 3 games. You go into season 2. You win 3 to 5 games. You're on the hot seat entering year 3, and you have to hope he does something.
Yeah. Yeah, and because and for good or for bad, and I don't want to go down this thing. For good or for bad, hindsight is 2020. So what happens in this made up world that we're in, right? Where like Rodgers goes to another team and plays well. So you moved on from Rodgers, and then you took Cam Ward, and it didn't work.
What are your thoughts on the rumors of him going to the Giants then?
I don't think that there's. I think that's bullshit. Pardon my.
I don't.
I don't think he goes there. He's not going to go to a team.
I could see why the Giants would be interested in him.
No.
Though, They need someone with a high floor. They need someone with a super, super high floor.
Totally, that makes sense.
And you get that in Rodgers because Joe. I don't care. It doesn't matter if they draft a quarterback this year. They need to win 8 to 10 games. They need to win 8 games minimum to keep their job.
But I don't think Rodgers wants to go to the Giants.
No, I'm just saying it makes sense why they're interested. They need a Kirk Cousins and Aaron Rodgers and Derek Carr with a high floor who's going to come in and give them wins right away.
No one is trading up to 7. I agree. If we get the Cowboys second in that trade, we might be able to get Watts and Williams. I believe the Cowboys really want Genty. Yeah. I agree too. I think it's smoke season. I do think they really want him. What if Sanders gets to 7 and we draft out for a QB needy team? Is that dumb or smart? I want to know your answer, and then I have a really convoluted answer for this. So
what is it?
What happens if Cam goes 2? Raiders trade up. They go from 6 to 2. They trade up. They take Cam Ward 2. Cowboys have gone and gotten Justin Fields. So they're not going to bank. They're not going to trade. They're not going to take a quarterback because Mara's not going to let Schoen take a quarterback. You got to figure this out in free agency. That's what they're saying. That's what he's saying, right?
Yep.
Will Campbell goes to the Patriots, and whoever insert other guy goes to the Jags, and
Mason Graham,
you're 7, right? You're now 7. Shedeur Sanders is on there. Would you trade back? Would you trade out with the Saints? Drop 2 picks.
1,000%. Shedeur Sanders. I don't have a first round grade on Shedeur Sanders. Here's the thing. I don't think he's a crazy quarterback. Like he's he's a good athlete. He's solid accuracy.
No, what? he's the most accurate quarterback in this class, by far.
No, I said he's accurate, but the thing is, have you heard the whole rumors of him holding onto the ball and take those sacks at Colorado?
Totally. But like
there's luggage that comes with him, and also
I think that's the problem is his dad.
Yeah, 1,000%. Here, I'll pull on my this is what I have on Shedeur.
While you're pulling that up, I think Shedeur would easily be QB1 if his last name was like Jackson.
I don't know about easily.
No, I think easily. I think he's easily QB1 in this class. I think in the short to intermediate,
he starts.
Go ahead.
Have you noticed when you're watching him, Tigo, that he starts to, for example, pressure's bearing down on him. There's guys, for example, Jackson Dart just falters and he tries to be Superman and he throws interceptions. But for example, Shedeur Sanders, when pressure bears down, he starts to drift off into space and start running 15 yards behind the line of scrimmage instead of stepping up and trying to make a big play. That's a massive red flag. Again,
but Colorado's offensive line was one of the worst in the country.
No, for sure. I agree. It was an awful offensive line. At the same time, not a pro-level scheme as well. And we're going to talk about how bad the offensive line was. Let's talk about his wide receiver core. LeJonte Wester, Will Shepard, Jimmy Horn. 3 guys are going to be probably be drafted in the 6th or 7th round this year's draft.
Yeah, that's not a good wide receiver core. Outside of Travis Hunter, it's not a good
Travis Hunter.
Outside of that, it's not a good team.
LeJonte Wester was very, very productive this past season at Colorado.
Yeah, but you can be productive and still not be all that good of a player. I'm
just saying his wide receiver core was not terrible.
No, but it wasn't good either. Here's the thing. If you want to talk positives about Shedeur Sanders, he's the most accurate quarterback in this class by far and away, and it's not close. His short to intermediate passing game is elite. Also, he's the only one of these quarterbacks that legitimately throws receivers open. His processing speed is the fastest of all of these guys. He fundamentally understands pre-snap coverages and reads, and he doesn't get tricked post-snap. So if the safety is playing single high and flies out wide and now it's a cover 2, that doesn't trick him all that often. There's a lot of positives that go there. But you're right. There are a ton of negatives with Shedeur Sanders. Holds onto the ball for way too long. Has a tendency to run back instead of stepping up. Totally. But those are things that you can, coach out of him. And, if you have a good offensive line, are things that you don't have to worry about. This is not me advocating, by the way, for drafting Shedeur Sanders. You don't get into bed with Deion Sanders. If you are a first-year head coach, you do not get into bed with Deion Sanders. There's too much
1000%. Yeah.
luggage there. But if his last name, if it was Shador Jackson, he's QB1. Because
Okay.
I honestly
Yeah.
think that.
What I'll touch is the Dion thing. That's my worst nightmare.
Totally.
Tyrod Taylor
can't touch
starts. You draft Shador Sanders. Tyrod Taylor starts the first 5 weeks of the season. He goes 1-4. You go 0-5. You're 1-4 to start the season. 0-5 to start the year. You have Deion Sanders going on every single radio station in the entire nation, talking about how Shador Sanders has to come in and play right away. Talking about how bad of a coach Aaron Glenn and how bad coaches Aaron Glenn and Tanner Angstren are. How they need to be fired right away. How Shador is going to demand a trade 2 years in, and he wants nothing to do with this organization, and he's too big for New York and all this and all that. That's the nightmare.
And it's not just that. Sorry to cut you off. It's not just that. It's also the fact that if he does start right away, let's say, right, and he starts failing, it's going to be in the media, well, these coaches are bad. He never lost and he never looked like this when I was a coach. And now you're staring down the barrel of losing your job in year one to Deion. You can't get into bed with Deion.
Also you start winning, then he's going on crap talking other, he has
his own podcast.
Yeah. You can't win. That's the bottom line.
And the other thing is that's incredibly hypocritical, and it's a bad look on Glenn because you moved on from Aaron Rodgers,
celebrity quarterback,
because you didn't want a celebrity quarterback because he was doing the Pat McAfee show, and then you go and look. This is not me advocating for taking Shador, but I think the thing still stands. Tape don't lie. He's a really good quarterback. He has the highest floor of any of these quarterbacks in the NFL, in my opinion. I also think he doesn't have all that high of a ceiling. Dom gave a really, really good comparable for him, and I thought it was excellent, and it's Chad Pennington.
Okay.
He reminds him of Chad.
I saw a little Tyrod. A little.
Tyrod was way more athletic. Way more athletic. Shador's not athletic like Tyrod was. But again, you can win with Chad. We did it. But that should say something about this draft class and why we should get to 2026.
Yeah. Overall, what I would do, Zachary, if Shador were to fall, if you can't find a trade back, I don't care. I'm still not taking him. I'm looking at other options on the board. Same. Ideally, you trade back and you recoup some draft capital, but still, you can't find a trade back. I'm not taking him. Because again, that's a huge, huge pick.
Yeah.
Huge pick.
It ties you down forever.
Because Aaron Glenn and Darren Muji, whether they draft Shador or Cam this year, and that's their guy, or they wait till next year and they draft Lenorta, Sellers, Arch if he comes out, Nico if he comes out, Nussmeier, Aller, Klubnik, Beck, one of those guys, their lives with the Jets are tied to that one person.
Yep.
Tied to that one person.
Rightly or wrongly.
Exactly. They thrive. They bring the Jets to the playoffs for the first time in 14 years. They win a playoff game. Aaron Glenn and Darren Muji will have statues built for them. There will be statues built for Aaron Glenn and Darren Muji outside of MetLife Stadium. They follow the same trajectory of what we've had the past 14 seasons with Zach Wilson's, with Sam Darnold's. Aaron Glenn and Darren Muji are on the hot seat entering year 3 and perhaps, get fired after 2 or 3 years with this team.
Yep.
They live and die by whoever the quarterback is.
And they get essentially a mulligan year if they pass on a quarterback this year. Because no one's going to blame them because this quarterback draft is horrible. The only way they get blamed is if Cam Ward is on the board and they pass him and Cam Ward's a superstar. And I don't think that's going to happen. I don't think you think that's going to happen.
No.
So
he's a good quarterback. He's not a superstar.
Yeah, I agree. And so you know what I think of Cam Ward?
What do you think?
This is not a fair comp, but I think in terms of ceiling and possibility, he's CJ Stroud light. And I think
his arm better than Stroud.
No, yeah. But also Stroud was a better processor and had better accuracy.
Yeah.
And there are certain
higher
things
football IQ overall.
Yeah, there are certain things that are not the same, but I don't think CJ Stroud's ever going to really be a superstar in the NFL. I don't think
he's a top 10 quarterback.
I would say top 12, but
top 10, top 8 is his ceiling, I'd say.
Yeah, but I don't think he's a superstar quarterback, and I don't think he's a quarterback that's going to single-handedly win you a Super Bowl. But you can build a really good team around CJ Stroud and win a ton of games, and even get really competitive and make a run. And that's what I think Cam Ward is. It's there are two quarterbacks in my mind and in my opinion in the NFL. There are quarterbacks that carry their teams, and then there are quarterbacks that need to be carried by their teams. And I think that there are 4 quarterbacks that can carry their team.
Who? Josh Allen, Mahomes, Hurts,
No,
Daniels?
I was going to talk in history.
Oh, okay.
I think it's like Tom Brady, Peyton Manning, Patrick Mahomes. Like, there's very few quarterbacks that are that damn good. There are
Who
quarterbacks
just put a team on their shoulders.
There are quarterbacks that can help lighten the load of their teams. Joe Burrow is a perfect example of that.
Like someone is a neutralizer in the sense that they're just going to come in and it's like that was the plan. That was the whole thing with Aaron Rodgers, Tico. When the Jets first got him, it was like, all right, we just need someone who's going to be competent, play average football with this defense, with the weapons overall. You play average.
Don't need
football.
to be carried, but don't carry.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Can just kind of be the neutralizer in the sense they're not being Superman in the sense they're winning all these games for you, but they're also not losing games for you.
Yep.
Somewhere in the middle.
And no, I think it's a wildly like that category of people is like wild because like that category of people includes like your Justin Herberts and Joe Burrows and things like that because I don't think they're good enough to carry a team. But like that category also includes Jared Goff and Kirk Cousins, and I don't think and I'm not saying that
like
Jared
a Baker
Goff
Mayfield
and Kirk
is a
Cousins
good example
as good
too.
as Joe Burrow or Justin Herbert, but like I also don't think that Joe Burrow is a good enough quarterback to carry the Cincinnati Bengals. Like he hasn't done it yet, and that team is only getting worse. And like what I mean by that is like talent around him because well they paid him, and they already lost T. Higgins. They're about to lose. No. They already lost Boyd. They're seriously probably going to lose Higgins, not this year, but maybe next. So like you're staring down this barrel of like. You're going to have to really build a really, really good team around him. And obviously they're trying to do that because I think if they have a defense last year, they have a serious push for the playoffs. But there's a lot of stuff going on that front. Guys, thank you so much for hanging out with me and Connor on this wonderful Saturday, on this wonderful show. I don't know what we're calling it. I don't even care, really. Next,
Connor and Tigo, Jets Weekly, whatever.
Whatever, man.
Jets Talk.
There it is. Next week, it'll be back on Connor's channel. So make sure to hit the subscribe button on Connor's channel.
Appreciate it.
I did not put it in the description. When the stream is over, it'll be in the description. So you guys can find it. You guys all know Connor.
Appreciate it.
Come on. It's not that complicated. Connor, any last words before we get out of here?
Tigo, just again, thanks for having me. Smash the like, subscribe for my guy Tigo. Get him to 3K subs. Let's get him to 3K subs. One of the best Jets content creators out there. So Tigo, appreciate you having me. This was fun, guys in the chat. Appreciate you sticking with us as always. Jimmy, Jay, Wild Wave, Zachary, all you guys in the chat. Thank you. We appreciate all your support. And like Tigo said, back next week on my channel, alternating the channels every week. So planning to do this throughout the entirety of the off seasons. It should be fun. Can't do it without you guys smashing the like, subscribing to our channels, and certainly couldn't do it without your support. So appreciate you guys as always, and have a great night.
Absolutely. Guys, thank you again for hanging out. Quick little plug. I did just drop my mock offseason 3.0 post-combine talking about what would a world look like in which the New York Jets do the unthinkable, the horrible, and trade up for a QB. Go find out which QB I take, and I traded to Cleveland. I'll give you a little sneak peek there. I traded to number 2 because that seems to be where the first quarterback is going to go. Go find out who it is. Thank you guys so much for hanging out. Thank you so much for being here and spending your weekend with us. My name is Tigo. That is Connor. This is Talking Jets with Tigo. Get on out of here, guys.